Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Young Man with Rins, where we share the journey of a man in simple stories. My name is Rins. Welcome to The Young Man. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited today on this episode. And of course, every Friday we bring you amazing guests, come and share their stories, their highs and the lows, and the things they've gone through. All right. I have my very good friend here. He's not just a friend, he's a boss. Um, I have so many things to qualify him, but real quick, let's just get into it. All right. His name is Olusola Amusan. Olu is an artificial intelligence evangelist, disruptor, serial technology entrepreneur, an unleash alumnus, Hive global leader, the author of Are You Branded or Stranded? A global shaper of the World Economic Forum, a member of the Country Support Mechanism of the Global Community Engagement and Resilience Fund in Nigeria, and the president of the eighth session of the African Youth and Governance Conference. He is passionate about social entrepreneurship as a key to unlocking African immense potential. Guys, one of the things that is very fascinating about him is that since 2021, Olu has been the CEO and co-founder of Vesti, a new bank of migrants designed for community and information sharing, financial services, and smooth transition for migrants. Vesti was founded to bring solution to problems faced by migrants and also afford them seamless transaction to their preferred destination globally. Now he's married, he lives in Dallas. He has two beautiful kids. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's give Olu, the young man, welcome.
Hello, hello. How you guys doing? Nice to be here
Oh my
today.
God.
Since I'm not sure when you'll be listening, I just say nice to see you guys here today.
Yeah.
It's a snowy afternoon here in Dallas, Texas. Nice to be on the show.
Right, Olu, right. First of all, before I go into anything, right, you know, I saw you one time in Nigeria. That is before you relocated, and you came around to Shoe Speed. I don't know if you can remember. You remember Shoe
Yes,
Speed?
yes, yes,
So
yes.
you came and we got talking. You told me then that can learn data analytics, that is good thing and all that, right? I told you that okay, that would start learning. That was when basically just started, and then you started campaigning about learning data analytics and then some soft skills that can give people money. So I told you, yeah, I will do it. Then fast forward, I didn't see you, but I got your number that day. I saved it. Now you did the very first um Japa webinar. I can remember, Olu. Let me tell you
Yes.
what happened. Yeah. Guys, I'm sorry I am talking too much because I want you to understand the person I'm talking. It's a big deal, right? This guy single-handedly last year have made, if I'm not mistaken, I was listening to Jimmy Tewe, your gross annual income university, that is millions of dollars. Is a big deal, right? It's a big deal. Okay. So go back to what I was saying. Now, I was in that Olu, I was struggling. I was struggling with finances. I was struggling where I was living, right? Most people don't know this about me. I'm sorry, I'll give you time to talk, but I want people to understand, right? Most people don't know where I was living. I was living in an apartment that had flood issues. And when flood comes to my house, then, Olu, it will get to my chest. That was where I was living. And that was where I was listening to your webinar. With
Wow.
he told people that data shouldn't be an issue. I remember he said that if you have a smartphone, that you should be able to afford data for your destiny. I was listening to the webinar, they took light, my phone ran down, I plugged it to my laptop ran down, I rushed to an office, I begged them, please, let me plug my laptop. You didn't know all these things. This was happening like 3 years ago, if you can remember. That was the very first Japa webinar. Olu,
Oh my God.
that was my life. And guess what? I messaged you shortly after. I told you my wife is already in the UK. What did you remember? You tell me. You told me that I'm one step there, that I'm one leg in, that I should just complete the last lap. But
Hmm.
I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me that wing to fly. Just making me believe that it's possible because I had given up. I was paying rent in pounds while I was in Nigeria because it was hard. Olu,
Wow.
thank you. Just meeting you alone changed my migration journey. And I'm going to get to that. But, Olu, I just want you to share what was life like before you met this whole tech thing going on in your life?
Well, thanks for all those, kind words and just setting the foundation for this.
Yeah.
Before technology, I think I was just laying the foundation. I got into tech pretty early.
Okay.
I did a diploma, which I would say is the first formal, entry into tech for me. I did a
Yeah.
diploma in 2016, 20, no, 2006. That's
Mm-hmm.
why 2006. I was only about 16 at the time. I did this program that really opened me up to, information technology. It was a diploma in
Yeah.
computer technology at OAU while I
Okay.
was still trying to. OAU is one of Nigeria's foremost universities of Afemi
Mm-hmm.
Olo University, and I couldn't get admission into college, so I went to do that diploma as sort of like for my gap year. But
Yeah.
a couple of years earlier, I'd been exposed to computers, and I just thought I fancied computers because I had access to them. I was living in a boarding house that we could get extra computer time every weekend because
Mm-hmm.
computer in the boarding house. So that was really my first informal exposure. By the time I got back home for holidays, my parents had a computer that they used to do word processing for their school. So
Mm-hmm.
I would basically type up exams and all of that during my holidays. And that helped me to be really good with word processing. I spent a considerable amount of time learning web design and animation and all those things. And from there, that official program was just the next sensible thing when I couldn't get admission into college.
Yeah.
And then eventually I, changed my passion from, biological sciences, which basically came out of the fact that my parents wanted me to do pharmacy because we had an uncle in the family who was basically a pharmacist. And so I wanted to study pharmacy. So I switched from biological sciences to computer science, which will now be, what I would do for a much longer period.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
time I got into college, got into university, I went to study computer science and I got dissatisfied with the kind of computer science that was being taught in my university then. This
How
time
about
around, I moved to Futa. So I was satisfied because we were being taught for Trans 77 in
mm-hmm.
2007. And I was like, oh my God, it's not the same kind of dexterity that you need to build social networks or to do. Fortran is not bad as a language, but at the
Yeah,
time,
true.
it was already the outdated version that we're being taught. So
Mm-hmm.
we set up a group for ourselves and started teaching ourselves coding. We call the Software Developers and Research Initiative for Nigeria. Mouthful of a name, but the
Mm.
purpose was just to get access to scholarships for IT training. And we got multiple scholarships from NIT. Many of people who were in that group back in the day went on to work with Microsoft, Google, AWS, McKinsey Digital, and it's just a very, very interesting. So before tech, it was almost like nothing. It was just my
Yeah.
passion for humanitarian work that I can say was like because I got exposed to humanitarian situations very early in life. There
Mm-hmm.
was a major crisis, intercommunal crisis, while I was like 7. And my dad used to volunteer for UNESCO and the Peace Corps. So I saw the United Nations logo pretty
Mm-hmm.
early in life. You
Yeah.
and I decided I was going to, be a force for social good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and when I learned computing, computing became what I could use as a force for social good. So eventually, when I finished in Futa, I got into Microsoft. And yeah, your question is, what was life before tech? So
No,
I
no,
think
no.
I've
Like,
been
I,
far.
I love how you're like, I'm being sucked in, and Olu, I followed you for years. Now, let me give you an example, right? Before I met you that very first time, right? Do you know there's a training Nia Desonya did that
Yeah.
was, I think, 2014 thereabout. You came with your wife and you spoke. I don't know if you can remember. It was many years
Yeah,
ago. That
possibly.
was the very first time I saw. I said, was like, who is this guy? You spoke with, like I said, I know, I think I need to know. That was the very first time I saw you. So I've been tracking you if I should use that word. And trust me, if I come to Dallas, I'm coming to Varsity headquarters.
By all means, we can't wait.
Talking about Varsity, yeah. How has the journey been? Because you are one person that you don't like, you evolve every time. Vesti, I remember it was more of training. I remember you do training in Lagos and in the Ondo State, and you do a couple of things. Oh, come and learn this, come and learn that. By the time, boom, it was more of migration. Boom, you're talking about F1, F2, boom. Like, I don't know. Do you want to buy the space? What are you up to? Like, so how has the journey been starting Vesti? What did it start with? The evolution and where you are now.
Yeah, sure. So I'm really I'm proud of like what the progression has been,
Mm-hmm.
because as you know, Steve Jobs says you connect the dots backwards.
True.
So at the time I was running Coven Labs, not actually Vesti.
Oh,
Coven
true, true. Yeah, Coven Labs. Yeah, sorry.
provide cutting edge digital education, because I
Mm-hmm.
believe that technology is one of the things that can actually lift people completely out of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have that belief today. So I basically was doing that, and I moved to the US upon the back of that to come and expand that program in America. Then I realized there was an even bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
Immigrants everywhere were confused about the complexities, and this is something I faced firsthand as well, of the whole migration process. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't simple enough, and it was definitely not technology driven. So I thought, okay, why don't we, begin to advise people? And this was around 2020 when, the pandemic was like in full
Yeah.
blown scale,
Yeah, I
and
remember. Yeah.
there was NSAS at the end of the year, and
Mm-hmm.
we were like, okay, what can we do, for people who really want to move but don't have the
True.
clarity on what to do, where to go, what to do when they get there. So there was a marriage of, okay, if you get the skills, what will you do with them in a country where there's not even enough jobs being created in the area of cutting edge technology? So if you
Mm-hmm.
were a data scientist, where would you work when the
Mm-hmm.
companies are not really hiring data scientists or
True.
artificial intelligence people? So what would you do with it? So I thought about, if I wasn't an hypocrite, if I moved just to be able to realize my potential, there has to be millions of people who are trying to move as well to realize their potential. So we
True.
built Vesti to become the operating system for migration and financial services for the next generation, for this generation and the next.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that operating system is basically helping us to be able to create immigration workflows, create immigration workflows for individuals and for even organizations, as well as providing them with the financial rails to
Mm.
be able to live their lives when they arrive in a new country. So
Mm.
that's really been the journey for us, and
Mm.
it's been an exciting journey as it is, and we are so happy that we've been responsible for thousands of people who have now relocated and moved to a new country and are living a thriving new life, because we provide additional guidance and information on what they can continue to do when they
Mm.
get to a new country.
How did you tackle issue of funding? Because I mean, a lot of people listening now, company owners and everything, and they're asking themselves, "Oh, okay, you run this at this scale. How do you accessing funding for your operational costs? How did you go about that?"
Yeah, I mean, for us, we started first by identifying that the business we are trying to run could potentially be profitable. We
Mm.
realized that money exchange hands anytime migration is happening. How can we be the bridge to be able to make sure that transaction processing is a lot smoother? So
Mm.
we started first with like helping to process, payments for migration related payments, like World Educational Services, which is used for credential evaluation.
Yeah.
We started processing things like, service fee, which is the US Department of State fees for exchange visitors. We just continue to do all of those kind of payments, and as we make people pay, we make very tiny transaction fees. And we
Mm.
realized we could take this into the next level and actually be the platform that is guiding them through the migration process. And we made money from that too. So, in order to be able to get our operations to a good scale, we talked to a few family and friends, to say, hey, we want to raise venture money to be able to
Mm.
scale this to the next level. We can see the potential. I think at the time we had like 13,000 customers or
Mm.
users actually, and maybe about only 2,000 people had paid on our platform.
Mm.
So we sort of like reached out to them and said, look at what's going on here. I'm
Mm-hmm.
laughing because those days were really days of little beginning,
True.
and they trusted us, they believed us. They looked at it and said, okay, this is something potentially that can become a thing. And we raised that first $500,000 pre-seed round, like 500,000, and we presented, it in January, February of last year as the round that we had just closed. Then we got into Techstars, which is one
Mm-hmm.
of the world's leading accelerators. And
Mm-hmm.
there and there, we learned a lot about how to build a company at scale and what
Mm.
it takes to be able to make your investors happy. On the back of that program, we've raised another 500K thereabouts, and we can say that we raised about only $1 million actually. So we
Mm.
haven't raised a big deal of capital, but that really helped us, and we're thankful to all the people who believed in us in those early stages
Mm-hmm.
to be able to demonstrate. Today we have about 100,000 users. So all that money we got was able to take us from like about 20K users that we got
Mm.
organically to nearly 100K users. And millions of dollars being processed on our platform.
Well, it was like last year I heard Jimmy tell because you he references you a lot and he has deep respect for you. So I was listening to one of his talks. So he referenced what you did last year. I just want to just throw more light because um most times people watch from outside, they don't know the financial implications that go or what it's all about. And I'm asking this question to ask my next question, right? Last year, what did you feel like you guys did as part like transaction wise? I just want you to put it out there.
Well, I think what I'm more impressed about is the impacts that we've been able to make and
Mm-hmm.
the thousands of people who have been able to migrate using our platform.
Yeah.
But while trying to help these people to migrate, we were rewarded with like thousands of dollars spent on our platform by each
Mm-hmm.
individual user.
Mm-hmm.
And we had nearly $11 million processed on our platform,
Wow.
either payments, peer to peer, and all of the services
Mm.
that we offer. And but think about it. This is just a scratch
This is a
compared to like
scratch.
the potential of what is possible. This is like a $560 billion,
Billion. My God.
$500 billion market according to the
Mm.
U.S. Office of Migration. So what we've done is just like a proof of concept about
Mm-hmm.
what's possible, and we're really anticipating what is possible this year.
Olu, right? I hear you, and I'm so like you teach this, like expanding, taking risks, which I have practiced, right? Um, 2020 was a remarkable year, right? Because I was following you on social media. Your very first Japa webinar. I want you to just talk about it, but I just want to come from an angle, right? So the whole NSAS thing was going on. You were like, okay, what do you guys think about Japa? You just put it out there. People got feedback, were like, oh, do it, don't do it, do it. Then that thing happened. It was at some point I could see the anger in your post. I don't know if you can remember that day. I could see the anger. You were like, you know what, we are doing this. People, I'm not saying for everybody. Some people are saying, if you all leave, who will stay? You say you don't at that point you say you don't even care. These are people that know that give me 2 years, 1 year of your life. Let's move you from Nigeria to UK, US, Canada, as the case may be. Come in, let's do this. I'm going to send the Zoom link. Now, why are you big on migration? I'm not talking to you as a business. I'm talking to you as a person. What is that thing that made you say, you know what, God, I'm big on this?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't start in one day. I feel that part of what I have always resonated the last decade or so is,
Mm-hmm.
the need to be globally relevant. In fact, they used to call me Mr. Global Relevant,
Yeah.
in globally relevant on campus, because in my college days, I was leading a campus fellowship, and I would always tell people about the need to be relevant globally, because I
Mm-hmm.
believe that, this planet is not just created for you to live in one corner of it the entire time in life.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why humans have feet instead of roots like trees.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
other places, I mean, I don't deserve credit for that quote. I heard it
Mm.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But the key thing for me is people should be able to move everywhere. So I've been desiring to go global since when I was like 14.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, I got exposed to international things early in life, even though it was through unfortunate circumstances like crisis,
Mm-hmm.
and then I started volunteering for a foundation at the age of 9 called Society for Women and AIDS in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a massive campaign on anti-AIDS, HIV and AIDS in my local community while I was growing up. And so very quickly I learned about exchange programs. I was volunteering for another nonprofit when I was about 11 years old called Life Vanguards, and they would have Ford Foundation would sponsor people to come from the UK to come and learn about Nigerian culture in Oshogbo, Osun State. And all of that sort of gave me exposure to say, hey, I got to go to where these people come from as well.
Yeah.
They've come to learn about my culture. I need to go as well. 2004 came. I was 14. I was watching the Greece Athens Olympics, and I said, I need to go to this place. So all of this were built up to when I even had the chance to first of all leave Nigeria and go to Ghana several years later. And after Ghana, I wanted to go to Europe, and then I went to Europe, and then I got a job at Microsoft and started going to, America. Since America was is the headquarters of Microsoft. So, and then after this, I think the other central thing, apart from desiring to see other countries, is the fact that I've always thought about humans in terms of potential. The abilities that God has put in everybody, and how much of a factor environment plays in terms of fulfilling that unique potential.
Yeah.
So I knew that for the kind of things I desire to do, the environment wasn't quite ready for what I was trying to do. And we have such a limited time on earth. So we can't essentially wait for the country to, become advanced in, biotechnology, if biotechnology is what we are passionate about.
Yeah.
Instead, we have to find other places where humanity has already made advancements, garner education and value from those places, and eventually take that knowledge to create value at a level that all of humanity can appreciate. So that potential is what I see when I see every Nigerian who is struggling at something. And I'm like, there has to be somewhere else you can do this. And that's how migration came to be for me, to say, hey, if it's not working here, it probably will work elsewhere.
Yeah.
If you can't get this thing to be done here, if you can't get this quality education here, why don't you get it elsewhere? If you can't get this high-paying job that would help you live your life better, why don't you get it elsewhere? And if you can't get it elsewhere and come back home to create value, not like you have to, but if you want, you definitely should. So definitely that's how we came about this. And then we realized that somehow in the DNA of humans, there is a desire to be nomadic, a desire to move, a desire to travel, a desire to see the world. That's why there is nearly 3.5% of the world population is living in a country other than where they were born. That's not the majority of the world's population, but that's a sizable number. Nearly 1 billion people are living in a country other than where they were born. And that number will continue to expand as the border lines that define countries continues to fade.
Yeah. Wow. My God. So I just want you to weigh in on two major things, right? From your experience in migration and then running a company that is focused on also creating service along that line. Case study UK. A lot of changes are going on. And of course, a lot of changes. The Home Office is doing a lot of changes in the immigration processes, right? I think the Home Secretary started making statements like, students will not have to be, we don't have to stay 2 years after graduation. Of course, he made a post, because I read your post. He talked about technician, right? Is a sign. These are pointers. What do you have to say? What's going on? What is the future for us in the UK?
Well, I mean, not like I'm clairvoyant or anything to be able to see the future, but I actually feel that, what is going on is really that countries will continue to design immigration policies that fit their needs at every point in time. So, for example, the technician program that is, ending, is not an indication that the Global Talent Visa is stopping. The Global Talent Visa will now be managed by another endorsing organization. So I think that people should just be educated more about what their options are, because the country is always looking for a certain demography and a certain set of skill sets every single point in time. Every country, every first world country has labor needs, has people needs, has skills needs, and some of these needs are what determine, what the immigration era is going to look like for that particular particular point in time. So I always say people should study what is going on. If they don't have the capacity to, just follow like organizations that are actively monitoring it, like Vesti. So for the UK, I think that yes, there will be a lot of conversations and controversies around how the previous administrations have welcomed a lot of immigrants, and this new PM is going to be under a lot of pressure to
Yeah.
be able to clamp down on skilled labor, especially.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that skilled labor will continue to get a lot of attention. The UK knows that they need, to hire more people. There are still labor shortages,
True.
because of the recession going on, especially in the US, and how it may affect the UK. We
Mm.
might actually see some job cuts that would eventually spiral into making it appear that like they were going to slow down on immigration, or that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to ask people who have been given maybe 2 years or 3 years before to say, okay, maybe you need to, go back to your home country,
Mm.
considering the fact that the UK is built on that. But they won't stop taking students because they need this for the
True.
economy, and anybody who is in the UK who has found home there should continue to look for ways, to continue to stay as somebody who is a valuable contributing member of society,
Mm.
because those people will still continue to be appreciated and wanted.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel any form of uncertainty, it might be better to begin to look for countries that have better immigration policies and that have greater career prospects as well. In
Mm.
this case, you would see Canada and the United States are basically countries that are very welcoming,
Mm-hmm.
and are looking for a certain set of people as well. So people in the UK can begin to think about, immigrants in the UK can begin to think about, this. I also think there's a great need for advocacy to be able
Mm.
to help, the people who are decision makers and policymakers today to know that, it's a win-win situation. Having
True.
immigrants in your country, especially skilled immigrants,
Mm.
it's not a liability at all. Like they need to understand the implication of the taxes, the amount of money they bring from their own country,
You're
and
right.
how a void that could create if they continue to push, unfavorable immigration policies.
This is an amazing insight. I didn't even think go this way really. Another post you made, there's a little shaking in the tech space right now. Of course, you saw the lay down, I think in Google or thereabout, and you talked something about that and ways Vesti can come in. But I just wanted to just like what's going on in this tech space because I was talking to someone in the oil and gas. They say, "Oh yeah, I think we're more stable now. The tech is shaking." So, what do you have to say regarding the shaking going on right now? Will it continue? Is it something that is it like a foot traffic thing, or everybody wants to go to tech and they are saying, "You know what? We have had enough. Let's shrink a little bit." What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that overall there are a couple of circumstances that are responsible for this. Analysts have said it's because of the economic recession. Some other people have said it's because of the
Mm.
overhiring that happened during COVID.
Mm.
Some people have said it's a political gimmick to basically make, some state political statements because of the coming elections. So there are
Mm.
all kinds of views around that. Some have said it's basically because of like the fact that these companies have experienced like a slack, sort of like a split in their shares in
Mm-hmm.
recent
Mm-hmm.
months. So there are all kind of ideas around it. It's just quite unfortunate,
Yeah.
that this is happening at this time. So we can't really put our fingers on what it is that is causing it. It's only the decision makers in those companies that
Mm.
can actually make a decision, on it. What we can say is we continue to provide critical advisory to people who are affected on
Mm.
what their options are if they are laid off on an H-1B visa, how they can
Mm.
get a 1 year extension,
Mm.
for this, and also trying to match companies, who are startups that are in need of H-1B workers but don't know how to do the filing,
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that they can, both find each other. So basically, that's what we've been doing around this, and it's just quite an unfortunate thing, you
Yeah. Yeah.
but we hope that things will pick up, in the coming year. Like
Mm.
basically, the way the economy of the US works is that somehow they find a way to bounce it back.
True. True. They've done it for years. They always do. So what's the like, I saw the drive last year regarding Vesti immigration and of course, you know, people at the advisory for Vesti. So what do we expect from Vesti this year? This year just started. We just experienced one of the fastest January in history. So, uh, so what do we expect? What are we expecting from you as a person, and then Vesti as a company?
Yeah, so for the organization, I believe that one of the things that you can expect is that we are consolidating on our market position. We're making our product glossier and better and more efficient, adding
Yeah.
a lot of features that would basically help immigrants to be able to collaborate on their migration journey. I don't
Mm.
want to let the cat out of the bag, but we are consolidating on our pathways feature to be able to help immigrants,
Yeah.
collaborate more with other people that are going to the same countries that they are going. Our wallet and card competencies will also be taking a new turn this year as
Yeah.
we launch, ability to, send and receive USD on our platform,
Mm-hmm.
or especially for immigrants who are already well known within our community.
Community. Yeah.
And also, you will see some expansion to some new countries as well, starting from Q2, that we're going to give a shot to. People have been asking us to come to Ghana, they've been asking us to
Mm.
come to Africa, Rwanda, Zambia, and
Yeah.
some of these countries will be getting us this year. So look
Mm.
forward to that. It's really going to be exciting.
Mm.
But one thing we are keen about is to be able to shatter our numbers and just shatter the ceiling, the roof, the glass ceilings of the number of people that have moved through our platform. And we want to just get to new enviable heights this year, being the preferred, legal and financial services provider for the immigrants of this generation.
Mm. Wow. Oh my God. I'm so happy hearing all these things. So before I let you go, you're a busy man. Um what are your last words? Especially people, that have this desire, this dream, especially listening from our dear country Nigeria. It's a very defining moment for us in Nigeria. So what do you have to tell them regarding migration or their dreams, and then of course motivation from you? So what do you have to say, sir?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just want to say that everybody has a right to see the world. This blue earth that we are on, everybody has a right to see, what God has made, and everybody has a right to dream, especially for those coming from really humble backgrounds where
Mm.
lack and inadequate resources, living in one of the world's poverty capital. It's could be difficult for people to dream. And one of the things I really want people to know when they listen to this is that your dreams are valid, regardless of where you are. Um,
Mm.
and even though it looks hopeless, there are lots of opportunities out there that are waiting for you to just give it one more push. You
Mm.
know, and my desire is that one day, you'll be able to tell a story similar to Rince's own, and I
Yeah.
know the story is still unfolding, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so much more for me, for you, for everyone.
Mm.
But
Mm.
at one point we'll be able to look back and be thankful for that desire and that
True.
push that we made. So I wish everyone the best out there, and of course ask you to go to check out wevesti.com, WEVESTI, and
Mm.
check out our wallets and our pathways app in the Android and the iOS store today.
Oh, so thank you for you mentioned that, because I just wanted to say, how can people reach you on socials, emails, website or anything?
Absolutely. Check me out,
Mm.
Olusola Amusan. The name is spelled together.
Mm.
Olusola Amusan on
Mm.
Instagram and on LinkedIn. Please add me there. I'm most active in those places.
Mm.
And of course, feel free to drop me an email if you want to reach out to someone at Vesti. We're still pretty early stage. So please reach out to olu at wevesti.com. More than happy to hear out your inquiries and, of course, take it to the next level.
All right. Thank you so very much, Olu. Like, this one of I always say this is one of my best sessions when I finish interviews, but I mean it is one of my best sessions, because it's not just sharing your story, it's also sharing hope. Right. I remember listening to you. You were in the US, I was in Nigeria. And you're in the US, I'm in the UK. So these things are possible, guys. All right, we've come to the end of this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Olu. Thank you, guys, for your time. And of course, every Friday we bring amazing guests. Just tune in next Friday, and then, of course, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.
Thank you so much, and bye bye.
Yeah. Wow, that was an amazing session with our guest today. I want you to also know that The Young Man with Rings is available on all streaming platforms every Friday. If you enjoyed this episode, kindly share, subscribe, and comment. See you next Friday. I remain your humble host, Rins.